You ever open a box and find something that makes you wish you'd left it sealed forever? That was me, standing in our attic on a Saturday afternoon, holding proof that my life might not be what I thought it was. The attic smelled like dust and old pine, sunlight cutting through a crack in the roof and making every speck float like it had secrets of its own. I was knee-deep in boxes, baby clothes, Ethan's old textbooks, Christmas decorations with busted bulbs. But then I saw one box that didn't look like the others. Smaller, cleaner, like it had been waiting for me. "Keep," it said on the side, in handwriting that wasn't mine. Curiosity won. I tore the tape open and froze. Inside wasn't junk. It was a neat stack of envelopes tied with twine, each one addressed to my husband, Ethan. The second I picked one up, my chest tightened. I knew that handwriting. I'd seen it on birthday cards, sticky notes left on my fridge, little doodles she left behind when we were kids. It was my sister's handwriting. I slipped one open, careful, like the paper might bite me. And the first line did exactly that. "Ethan, when I think of you, I feel like my heart is on fire." My stomach flipped. My hands shook so bad I nearly dropped it. Lila, my sister, writing love letters to my husband. I pressed the letter closed, heart racing. Images stormed through my head. Lila laughing at Ethan's jokes during Thanksgiving, their innocent little side chats at barbecues, the way she hugged him just a second too long at Christmas. Had I been blind this whole time? From downstairs, Ethan's voice floated up, casual, warm, completely out of sync with the chaos exploding inside me. "Nora, you find the photo albums yet?" I nearly tripped over a box, scrambling to hide the letters under my sweater. Yeah," I called back, my voice too sharp, too shaky. "Still looking." He didn't press. He never does. I stuffed the rest of the envelopes into the folds of my sweatshirt, slammed the box shut, and kicked some junk over it. My legs felt like lead as I climbed down the ladder, careful not to make a sound. In the kitchen, Ethan was at the table, coffee steaming beside his phone. He looked up, smiled like nothing was wrong. "Find anything good?" And for one insane second, I almost laughed. "Anything good? Try finding your sister's love notes to your husband." I forced a smile, clutching the dish towel over my shaking hands. "Just junk." Ethan nodded, already half distracted by whatever was on his screen. And that's when it hit me. He really didn't know what I was holding, or he was a damn good actor. I carried the letters into our bedroom, shut the door, and locked it. My pulse thudded in my ears as I untied the twine. One by one, I spread them across the bed. Dozens of them. Every page dripping with words that weren't meant for me. Words signed with my sister's name. And in that moment, I wasn't just staring at paper, I was staring at betrayal. Now listen, I ain't saying I'm the queen of self-control, but apparently 96% of people who hear stories like this don't hit subscribe. That's like showing up to a baby shower, eating half the cupcakes, and then leaving without even signing the guest book. Don't be that person. Hit subscribe. It keeps the drama piping hot and the petty revenge flowing. Back to the attic mess. I sat on the bed, gripping those letters like they were evidence in a trial. My sister's handwriting, my husband's name, my whole world, flipped upside down in the span of 30 minutes. And the question I couldn't shake? If Lila had the nerve to write these, what else had she done? Down the hall, I heard footsteps. Ethan's voice came closer. "Nora, you okay in there?" I shoved the letters under the blanket, heart racing. Because how do you explain to your husband that you just found a box of love letters from your own sister? I've always believed silence could protect me. That if I swallowed my questions and plastered on a smile, the storm in my chest would just pass. But that night, sitting across from Ethan at the kitchen table, silence felt like poison. He was scrolling through his phone, casual as ever, with his coffee mug in one hand and a faint smudge of ink on his wrist from work. Normal. Familiar. Meanwhile, my hands were pressed flat on my thighs under the table to stop them from shaking. The letters were hidden upstairs under my pillow like contraband. "Long day?" he asked, glancing up with that easy smile. I studied him. Too hard. Every twitch, every blink, every shift in his seat. Was that guilt flickering across his face? Or was I just seeing ghosts? "Not really," I said. My voice cracked halfway through. He frowned. "You okay?" "Yeah." The lie slid out sharp and brittle. "Just tired." But my chest screamed otherwise. I wanted to slam the letters down between us, demand he explain how my sister's handwriting ended up on love notes to him. Instead, I stirred my tea with a spoon, metal clinking against ceramic like a tell I couldn't control. He set his phone aside. "Nora, talk to me. You've been quiet since you came down from the attic." I laughed. Too quickly. Too loud. "Quiet? Maybe you're just not used to me shutting up for once." His smile faltered. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Deflect." His tone was firmer now. Not angry, but probing, like he was trying to peel me open. "If something's wrong, say it." My throat tightened. I wanted to scream. "Something's wrong?" "I found love letters from my sister to you." But instead I blurted out something else entirely. "Do you ever feel like people hide things from you?" He blinked, thrown. "Like secrets?" I shrugged, trying to look casual, failing miserably. "Yeah, secrets. Things you should have known." He leaned back in his chair, brow furrowed. "Babe, if this is about me working late this week, I told you. It's been nuts at the firm." "No," I said quickly. Too quickly. My pulse hammered in my throat. His eyes softened, concern threading through. "Then what's going on?" I bit my lip until I tasted copper. If I asked outright, the truth would spill and maybe drown us both. So I twisted the knife a different way. "Were you ever in love before me?" I asked. He chuckled, surprised. "That's what this is about? Nora, of course I dated before you. Everyone has a past." "Yeah, but did you ever keep something from me? Something big?" His smile faded. He tilted his head, watching me closely now. "No. Why are you asking me like you already know something?" "Because I did. Or at least I thought I did." I forced a shrug. "Just curious." He reached across the table, took my hand in his. His fingers were warm, steady. "Hey, whatever's on your mind, just tell me. You know I'm not going anywhere." I stared at his hand wrapped around mine, my sister's words echoing in my head. "Every time I think of you, I feel like my heart is on fire." And for the first time in our marriage, I wondered if Ethan's warmth wasn't meant for me at all. Later that night, when he was asleep, I crept out of bed. The letters waited under my pillow like a dare. I opened another one, and there it was again. Lila's looping signature at the bottom. My sister's name. Written to my husband. If guilt has a flavor, it's bitter coffee in a chipped mug. That's what I was tasting when I sat across from Lila at our favorite coffee shop the next morning. She walked in late, hair pulled back messy, paint still smudged on her fingertips from some freelance project. Typical Lila, chaotic, charming, a little too careless. I didn't bother with small talk. I pulled one of the letters from my bag and slapped it onto the table. Her eyes darted to it, then to me, then back to it. And I swear, her face drained like I'd just accused her of murder. What is this?" she whispered. "You tell me," I said, my voice tighter than I intended. "Because unless I'm hallucinating, that's your handwriting. And those letters? They're addressed to Ethan." Lila froze. Her fingers twitched toward the envelope, but she stopped herself, like touching it would burn her. "Nora," she started, voice shaky. "Don't." My hands curled around the coffee cup, knuckles white. "Don't lie to me. Did you write these to my husband?" Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked around the cafe like someone might swoop in and rescue her. Finally, she shook her head. I never wrote Ethan letters. I swear." I leaned forward, every nerve in me buzzing. "Don't play dumb. Your signature is right there, Lila. Every word in those letters drips with love. Do you think I don't recognize my own sister's handwriting?" She looked stricken. Her lips trembled. "Nora, I swear on my life I didn't write those to him." "Oh, so what? They just magically appeared? My attic's a love letter vending machine now?" Her eyes watered, and for a second I thought she might cry. But instead, she whispered, "I do write letters, but not like you think." Ever notice how life serves you reruns? Like you miss one red flag, and suddenly you're 6 episodes deep into Deja Vu, Emotional Sabotage Edition. That's why you hit subscribe, because around here, the only thing more consistent than betrayal is the plot twist that comes next. Back to the wreckage. I blinked at her, thrown off. "What do you mean and not like I think?" She licked her lips, twisting a napkin in her lap. I used to ghostwrite letters. For money. People would hire me to write romantic stuff they didn't know how to say themselves." I stared. "You're telling me, what? That all these letters just happened to be business?" "Yes," she said quickly, desperate. "I swear, Nora, I didn't even know who they were for. I just wrote what people asked me to." Her words rattled around my head like loose change, not making sense. Because if that were true, then why did the letters feel so personal? Why did every line scream like a confession? I pulled the letter back toward me, my chest tightening. "You expect me to believe that? That it's just some gig? That you didn't even realize you were writing to my husband?" Lila flinched at the word husband. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Finally, she whispered, "Nora, I would never hurt you like that. You have to believe me." But I didn't. Not yet. I stuffed the letter back in my bag, stood up, and leaned close enough for her to hear my heartbeat. "Then explain this, Lila. Because until you do, I don't know if I can ever look at you the same again. I always thought betrayal came with lipstick on a collar or a text message at midnight. Not this. My sister sitting across from me, swearing she'd never written to Ethan, while her handwriting screamed otherwise. We ended up back at her apartment, a cluttered loft that smelled like paint thinner and lavender candles, with canvases leaning against the walls and her laptop glowing on the desk. Lila paced while I sat stiff on the couch, clutching the bundle of letters like they might vanish if I let go. "Okay," she said finally, running a hand through her hair. "You need to hear me out." "Then talk," I snapped. She pulled out a shoebox from under her bed and dumped it onto the table. Envelopes, drafts, scraps of half-finished poems spilled everywhere. "This was a side hustle, Nora. People hired me online. Ghostwriting. Love letters, apology letters, whatever. They'd give me details, names, memories, inside jokes, and I'd make it sound real." I blinked at the pile, my stomach knotting tighter. "So you're telling me you just manufactured feelings for strangers?" She winced. "Not manufactured. Translated. They gave me what they couldn't say themselves. I was the pen, not the heart." I picked up one of the drafts, scanned the looping words. They all looked the same. Her voice, her style, her damn signature at the end. "And you didn't think for a second that maybe, just maybe, writing love letters could ruin someone's life?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Nora, I didn't know who they were for. That's the whole point. I didn't ask." I just wrote. I slammed the letter down. Then explain why I found a stack of your letters addressed to my husband. She flinched, her shoulders curling inward. I don't know. Maybe one of my clients used Ethan's name. Maybe... She stopped, shaking her head. God, I don't know. But I swear I wasn't writing to him. Not knowingly. I sat back, heart pounding. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Every part of me wanted to believe her, because she was my sister. But the evidence was sitting in my lap, whispering otherwise. She sank onto the couch beside me, voice breaking. Nora, please. You've always been the one person I never wanted to hurt. I know I've messed up in life, jobs, relationships, but not this. Not you, not Ethan. For a second, the old part of me, the protective older sister, wanted to wrap my arms around her, tell her I believed her. But then I saw Ethan's name on another envelope, bold and clear, like a brand seared into the page. I can't just take your word for it, I said quietly. Not this time. Her eyes filled, but she nodded, wiping at her face. Then prove it. Dig. Do whatever you need to do. Just don't throw me away over something I didn't do. Later that night, I sat on my bed, the letters spread out like broken glass. My phone buzzed. Marissa, my best friend. You sound wrecked, she said after I answered. Found love letters to Ethan, from Lila. My voice cracked. Silence on the line. Then, in that blunt way only Marissa could manage, she asked, Do you want to know the truth, or do you want to be right? Her words stung. Because I didn't know anymore. As I gathered the letters back into the stack, something slipped out from between the pages. A folded slip of paper. A receipt. With Ethan's name printed right at the top. There are fights you see coming, slow burns that build for weeks. And then there are the ones that hit like a lightning strike, splitting everything wide open. That night, with the receipt in my hand and the letters spread across our bed, I knew which kind this was. I walked into the kitchen, my pulse loud enough to drown out the hum of the fridge. Ethan was at the counter, rinsing a glass, his shoulders relaxed, completely unaware that his life was about to crack in half. Ethan. My voice was sharper than I intended. He turned, brow furrowed. What's wrong? I slapped the receipt down on the table. The letters followed, fanned out like evidence in a courtroom. Explain this. He glanced down, confused at first. Then his eyes widened. What? What are these? You tell me, I said, my chest heaving. Letters. To you. From my sister. With your name on the receipt. His face drained. He picked up one of the envelopes, scanned it quickly, then looked at me like I'd just accused him of murder. Nora, I've never seen these before in my life. Don't you dare, I snapped. Don't you dare stand there and act innocent. Do you have any idea what it feels like to read my sister's handwriting spilling love all over your name? He set the letter down, slow, careful, like it might explode. I swear to you, I don't know where these came from. I've never asked Lila for anything. Why would she even... Because you let her, I cut in. My voice cracked, but I pushed through it. All those family dinners, all those inside jokes. Do you know what it feels like to think I've been the outsider in my own marriage? His mouth opened, closed, frustration flickering across his face. Nora, listen to yourself. This doesn't make sense. If I was hiding something like this, don't you think I'd be a little smarter than leaving a trail of letters in the attic? Unless you thought I'd never look, I shot back. His jaw clenched. You really think I've been cheating on you? With your sister? The words hung between us, heavy and poisonous. You ever notice how betrayal doesn't knock politely? It just kicks the damn door in, and apparently, 93% of folks who hear stories like this don't hit subscribe. That's like crashing a wedding, eating the cake, and leaving before the vows. Hit subscribe. It keeps the heartbreak real, and the plot twists hotter than fresh coffee. Back to the mess. I stared at him, my chest aching, my hands shaking so badly I had to grip the back of a chair to steady myself. "You tell me," I whispered. "Am I crazy? Or are you just that good at lying?" Ethan slammed his hands against the counter, his voice rising. "I am not lying. I don't know why Lila's handwriting is on those letters, but I swear to you, I have never touched her. Never. You're my wife, Nora. You're the only one I've ever—" "Stop!" My voice cracked. "Just stop." The silence after that was worse than the yelling. He stared at me, chest heaving, eyes pleading, but all I saw were those pages, words that weren't mine, signed with my sister's name. I gathered the letters, stuffed them back into the envelope, and stormed out of the room before he could say another word. My body was buzzing, my throat raw, like I'd just swallowed glass. Back in the bedroom, I collapsed on the bed, the letters spread out around me. That's when I saw it, the dates on the envelopes. Not from this year, not from last year, from before Ethan and I were even married. My breath caught. Because maybe this wasn't about my sister betraying me in the present. Maybe this was about a past I didn't know existed. I spread the letters across the bed again, this time paying closer attention. My anger had blurred the details before, but now I noticed. The dates. They were old. Years old. From before Ethan and I even exchanged vows. Some even from before we met. The room spun. I pressed a hand to my chest. Had I been tearing holes in my marriage over something that predated me entirely? I carried the bundle downstairs, my feet heavy against the wood. Ethan was still in the kitchen, elbows braced on the counter, his head in his hands. He looked up as I entered, his eyes tired, almost defeated. "Ethan," I whispered. "These letters, they're dated before we even got together." He blinked, confused. "What?" I handed him the top envelope, my hands trembling. "Look, 2014. We didn't even meet until 2016. He scanned it, his brow furrowing deeper with every line. Then he shook his head. "This doesn't make any sense. Why would someone send me letters I've never seen? And why would they end up in our attic?" I bit my lip hard. Unless they weren't really from Lila. At least, not in the way I thought. We sat in silence, the kind that hums louder than any words. My mind raced back to what Lila had told me in that cafe. Ghostwriting. A service where she wrote for people too scared to put their feelings into their own words. I pulled my phone out, scrolled through the photos I'd taken of the letters, and zoomed in on a detail I'd missed before. A name scribbled faintly in the corner of one draft. Not Ethan's. Another name, crossed out. A woman's. My breath caught. "Ethan, did you date a woman named Rebecca?" He froze. Slowly, he nodded. "Yeah, years ago. Before you. She was intense. Wrote me emails that sounded like poetry. Always made me feel like I was in some novel." His face darkened. "Wait, are you saying—" I held up the letter, pointing at the crossed-out name. "I think she hired Lila to write these. Lila didn't know who they were for. And you—" My voice cracked. "You thought the words were hers, not mine. And I thought the handwriting was betrayal." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, sinking into the chair. "So Rebecca paid your sister to write letters to me, and years later, you find them in our attic." The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. Almost. Instead, tears blurred my vision. "Do you have any idea what this has done to me, Ethan? To us? To my relationship with Lila?" He looked gutted, shaking his head slowly. "I didn't know, Nora. I swear. If I had, God, I would have told you." I sank into the chair across from him, staring at the letters scattered between us like debris after a storm. It wasn't betrayal, not in the way I thought, but it still felt like a wound, one that left scars in places I hadn't known existed. My phone buzzed on the table. Lila's name lit up the screen. I hesitated, then answered. Her voice was small, cracked, raw. Nora, can we fix this? Or is it too late? We met at my dining room table, me, Ethan, and Lila. 3 cups of coffee between us, untouched, steam curling into silence. The stack of letters sat in the center like an unwanted guest. Lila's eyes were red, her hands fidgeting with the sleeves of her sweater. Ethan sat rigid, his jaw tight, but his gaze softer than mine. I felt like a referee in a fight I never asked for. I pushed the letters forward. We know what these are now. We know they came from your ghostwriting, Lila. We know they were meant for Ethan, but not from you. From Rebecca. Ethan nodded slowly, confirming. Yeah, I recognize some of the details, things only she would have known. But I never knew she didn't write them herself. Lila's voice cracked. I didn't either. Nora, I swear I never knew Ethan was the recipient. If I had... She swallowed hard. I never would have taken that job. I studied her face. My sister. My blood. I'd grown up braiding her hair, covering for her bad report cards, sharing clothes and secrets. And here we were, almost broken beyond repair over words she didn't even mean. You should have told me about the ghostwriting, I said quietly. I was embarrassed, she admitted. It felt cheap, like selling love that wasn't mine. For the first time in days, I exhaled. I turned to Ethan. And you didn't think I deserved to know about Rebecca? His shoulders dropped. She was my past, Nora. I didn't think it mattered once I met you. He hesitated. But now I see. Sometimes the past comes knocking whether you want it to or not. The 3 of us sat there, staring at the mess on the table. And slowly, the weight started to shift. Not vanish, but shift. Because this wasn't about cheating. Not really. It was about trust. About how fragile it becomes when evidence points one way and faith demands you believe another. I reached for Lila's hand, then Ethan's. For a moment, none of us spoke. Just 3 people bound together by love, by history, by mistakes neither of us meant to make. I realized then, trust isn't about blind faith. It's about choosing to believe, even when the evidence is stacked against you. Choosing to see the whole picture before burning the frame. The letters weren't betrayal. They were ghosts. And sometimes ghosts just need to be laid to rest. So tell me, what would you have done if you found a stack of love letters from your sister to your husband? Would you have confronted them like I did? Or would you have burned the evidence and walked away? I'm curious. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your story. Because here, it's not just about the drama. It's about the lessons we learn when trust is tested. And if this story pulled you in, don't forget to subscribe. More stories, more twists, more truths, hiding in plain sight.